Hi, everyone. I've got Candice with me. Hi, Candice.
Hey, Michelle.
How do we get things running more efficiently? I mean, all of us receive the guru notifications on the SOPs going out, and that as well. Even if you're just looking at the SOPs in isolation, they are bringing about consistency.
The
Yeah.
reason for these SOPs is that so that the teams aren't having 16-hour handovers for big
Yeah.
clients, because this is the way the junior and senior did it 5 years ago, and this is how we're doing it now. Like, let's rather just have a look at this SOP, because
Yeah.
we ask people who have a lot of experience with these sections of work to draft these SOPs. So have a look at that SOP. Let's try and get everything standardized so that your handovers are easier, and it will lead to less review queries, because the account managers, seniors will be, this is how it's done. And where we do have those funnies, we have those funnies, but let's try and get those funnies to much smaller than
Yeah.
all these funnies that for each client we have random things. We keep carrying them on, and then by the end, it doesn't make any sense. It's been there for 6 months.
Yeah, bit of a chuckle on that, because I know we've all fallen prey to. Ultimately, it's a bit of legacy. It is legacy that we've fallen into, and we just sort of keep going because, as you say, I mean, that's how it's always been done on this client. And I've found myself in a couple of points where I've looked at even just the client work that I do, and if I step back and sort of compare and think I'm not actually sure this is kind of the same task. I'm not sure why I do it, slightly differently or whatever, other than, well, that's what we do on that client. That's what we do on that client. And, like you said, the funnies, absolutely, there will always be deviations. But we kind of also just want to hone in on that and ask the question of the validity of the deviation. Is it really necessary
Exactly.
for the deviation to exist? I think that's also what we're gearing to. I mean, with the experience on the various clients that we have, and I'm sure the team will agree, there's certainly a lot of different things going on for a lot of different clients, and that's fair. But ultimately, accounting is still accounting, and that by no means is meant to diminish the differences, or I, for one, work in a program on one of the clients that nobody else works on. Our team works on software that nobody else does, and I'm sure other people have the same thing. So absolutely, there are differences, but I think, and a part of that is the legacy. There are deviations that don't have to exist.
Agreed. And also, we also live in a world where we are accountants, and it's difficult to take leave. When we are going to be on extended leave, we stress about it because we are the ones who are always doing this work. But if we have a standardized way of doing it, how much easier will your leave be? How much less anxious will you be before you go on leave?
Yeah, I think that is a point of relatability for all of us. I think it can be a huge stressor when it comes time to take leave, and in particular, like you say, extended leave. We really, and this talks to what you were saying about the standardization. I always think when, and it's something that I've plugged. I mean, I've carbon. To me, there is nothing greater than carbon. To this day, carbon is it. And one of the things, especially during onboarding and walking new team members through it, one of the things that I've always highlighted is the tagging to the timeline, tagging to a client timeline. And the example I use, and I guess it's a bit of a morbid example, and I think it came from Zane. So, and that is that is
You get hit by a bus?
yeah, that's the one. That's exactly the one. It's true though, and sometimes I've sat in onboarding and thought, well, maybe I should maybe not hit by a bus, but something adjacent. But it's so true. It's that, how are we ensuring continuity? Can we get on with it. If someone's not there, are we able to pick it up? And that's one of the tools that we have that ensures that. And what we're looking at now is an extension of that. How do we
Yeah.
continue working on someone can just pick it up? Because, and like you say, you spoke about the handovers. That is also oftentimes a handover can come at a time when you perhaps don't have a lot of time available. It could come at an untimely time of the month. I mean, I don't think there's ever an ideal time for a handover. It's one of those things where we see it pop up, we know it needs to be done, but it's still kind of a stressor. How do we get this information across and this project handed off? And I certainly think that with the standardization, with the quality control procedures and functions that we are putting in place, this will certainly help that. And kind of, the way I see it, and this is going back many years. In fact, it was, I think, around the time when you and Zane were both here in South Africa some years ago.
Probably
A good few
2019.
Yeah, there we go. That's the one for our 5th year celebration. And we were kind of talking about, informally talking about the Protea Basics there, and speaking about, and this is something we're going to get to in another video, but ultimately Protea Basics. And my mind, when I took in the information of what are we doing here with Protea Basics, the way I saw it is ultimately, or the end goal should be you're picking up a document, a file anywhere, and you should not be able to discern who prepared it. It should be, that is obviously, it's a very extreme example, but it's kind of something that I've carried with me, because you should be able to, and that's what we're talking about when we're looking at standardization. We should have things in place to make life easier for everybody and make
Yeah.
the transition between teams and as seamless as possible.
And it's insulting when somebody says everybody's replaceable. It's insulting to us. But
Yeah.
it takes such a load off everybody.
Yeah.
If what you're doing is replaceable, that is not an insult. It means that you're doing a good enough job that anybody else can pick it up and get it done. And we don't want people to feel like they can't take leave. You should take your leave. You need to take your leave. Everybody needs that downtime. So don't want anybody to feel like they can't take leave. We want you to be able to take leave. How do we get to the place where you're able to take leave? Standardized processes. And I did
Absolutely.
also want to say it is great because you and I have been with Protea for so long, and you have all these names of systems, and we now have such a big team that there are so many people with expert knowledge on these systems. Whereas 5 years ago, we probably had
Yeah.
8 people working with Wine Direct, very few working with different. We've
Yeah.
come so far and we have such a great knowledge base. And it's so nice because when somebody asks me a question I don't know the answer, I know I can put it to a very large network of people, or go to Google and find the skill set cheat sheet to find the
Oh
person who
yeah,
has
yeah.
that knowledge.
Yeah.
And that is a very big win for Protea.
I think, you mentioned some years back, yeah, in for me it's almost 6, couple of months short of 6, and just the landscape was so different back then. And I think, when you're looking at, if it's you and I'll just look at an example. If it's you and I, and we know, it's a much smaller team, and I know how you work, you know how I work. It's a lot more sort of, I want to say, relaxed in terms of we're kind of doing our own thing, but we know what the other one is doing, and that's just it. And then it makes sense that you would see, like I say, I talk about those legacy deviations and that, where it was kind of just you went into a client and back then, whoever was there put the best processes they could in place, and that's kind of what stuck. And,
Yeah.
With the team getting so much bigger, with different platforms being introduced, it's whilst I could probably tell you a few years ago who was doing what, I wouldn't be able to do that now because there's just so much on the go, and the team. And the way I look at quality control as well is also just ensuring that the team is aligned, making sure that we are all moving in the same direction. And I think now is a great time for it to have come about as we do continue to grow and evolve and getting introduced to new things. I think of recently we've been doing the SOPs training. There's been a few videos that have come out and looking at things like AI. Just the other day, we saw the AI policy come out that's available in Guru. And I think, perhaps 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, we wouldn't have had or considered the need for a tech role. And now I find myself, I'm like, AI policy, goodness, hi tech, can you tell me, can you help me unpack this? I'm not sure. Sorry, Megan and Lauren. But the needs continue to change, and the team gets bigger, our client base gets bigger, their needs continue to change. I think if even just the landscape of what our clients are seeing nowadays, and even just the crises we've navigated in recent years.
Sure.
A couple of big ones come to mind, but it required us, we needed to very quickly adapt and to
And we
meet.
did.
We did. It certainly a lot of points of pride there. I know
Thrived.
we did. I know probably the most recent one. I think the account managers will had their phones glued to their ears talking to clients and that, because these things happen and we need to be able to respond to it accordingly. Even just looking at we talk about changing landscape and that, you've mentioned it, we are still accountants at the end of the day, and accountants have to abide by they are, just first and foremost, they are accounting practices. And as voluminous, I won't say as cumbersome, I won't attach a negative connotation, but as voluminous as they are, they need to be adhered to. Things need to be, we deal with CPAs pretty much all year round with the various deadlines, and I was still dealing with them a week ago. That is who we work with. It's not just about, okay, on a practical level, what are we doing for the client? It is also about the standards that we have to adhere to. And again, that is where quality control comes in, because if all of us had to pick up the, US GAAP, I think it doesn't make for light reading. And
I'm glad that's your specialty and not mine.
yeah, even I can admit, as much as I love it, it's certainly not just before bed. Perhaps if you want to nod off quickly, then maybe. But we talk about, and I think we've covered so much in terms of quality. But at the back of one's mind, we're a professional body. We belong to professional bodies. We are tasked with ensuring that our clients adhere to the various standards and quality control.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but that is so daunting for us individuals.
Right?
To have a hard time staying up to date with that. So when you've done the leases one, I think it should be a huge relief to people. It is much easier for us to grasp that, to reach that quality level, because somebody else who enjoys it and is a specialist and has done the work on it can explain it.
Enjoy is but that's so true. Yeah, that is so true, because
And I think it's
sorry, go ahead.
No, carry on.
No, I'm very passionate about. Don't get me started on leases. We will most assuredly be here for a long time. But please.
But for someone like me, that makes me nervous. It makes me anxious. What have I missed? What am I not thinking about? And you've done the hard work. And I think that that is a great thing about Protea. Somebody has done hard work on something, and there is always a resource. And there's a reason why. Thank you to everybody who's drafted SOPs. There is a reason why you're being asked to do them as well. And you're being trusted with them, and you are doing a great job.
Couldn't agree more.
But we do want everybody to use them and to look at them and to
Yes.
understand them. And I think
Yes.
that you and I will be very key in helping people see where they're deviating and how they can make it easier to achieve that.
Couldn't agree more. I think, the SOPs and just on the SOPs, I can totally relate from the perspective of how daunting it was. I mean, I can't even tell you how it came about where it popped up. Hey, we need to do something different now. And the impact of that implementation was significant. It makes a significant difference to the financial position of a client's set of books. And I think, well, what if we didn't know how to do it? Like, having that resource is so, so, so important. And if we look at some of them that have come through, I mean, if I think one of my favorite ones is actually the payment request. And why I highlight that one is, along with the SOP, there is an Excel template that can be used. And that talks directly to a significant part of our mission in terms of that standardization, because you can literally pick up that document and populate it with your information and go about your business. It's ultimately reducing the mental gymnastics to come to a conclusion that somebody else has already done. And that is the risk when there are so many of us. There's so many of us, there are so many clients. Ultimately, and this comes back to what you said at the very beginning of this video, and that is getting all of these resources and bringing them together to make everyone's lives easier. Because there is a strong chance that I've got something sitting in my inbox that I haven't seen before that somebody else has done. And
Yes.
I might be missing the opportunity. Perhaps it doesn't cross my mind to ask, or it's, nobody's probably seen this. So essentially, we're duplicating efforts and ultimately frustration in a way, because it can be a frustrating process trying to source information and best practices from scratch to come to the same conclusion that a fellow team member has perhaps done. So, they've done the legwork, and now it's about putting it all together. So, yeah, I'll absolutely plug the SOPs, and that plays a significant role in what we're doing, because it allows us to see, we're kind of looking at it from, it's that big picture view, and we're able to see, we're aware of the resources available. We're also aware of the contents on this client's file, and we can bring the two together. Like, how can you what could we possibly suggest to you to best utilize and get things in place?
Exactly.
But Candice, thank you so much. It's
Thank
really been
you.
wonderful to really get into it, and I hope the team finds it beneficial, and looking forward to what's to come.
And I appreciate your time, and always lovely chatting with you. Bye, everybody.
Take care. Thanks, guys.